Okay, so hopefully the audio is okay for this. Hopefully you're well as you tune into this. I don't have my glasses. I was trying to adjust my glasses. So it's still pretty early. I think it's like just at 10 a.m. and it's already been a lot. Um, I went to the vape shop and I had a really big moment, low key, with the cashier guy who, side note, has been messing with me like since he got there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he even said himself, he was like, I feel like you're too nice, so I gotta be mean to you. I don't want that sort of energy in my life. I don't want that. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck how much validation somebody's giving me. I don't care how much love somebody's giving me. I don't want to be treated like that. You know what I mean? I don't. So it was very frustrating for me because I genuinely, like, I got out of character. Like, I was swearing. I was like saying all kinds of things. It wasn't too crazy. I was just trying to like be assertive. You know what I mean? But I was angry. It was like a lot of built up energy because once again, this guy has been messing with me, and it's just like, ugh. And so that was a moment, and I wanted to record about it just to kind of like transmute, just to kind of like make sure that this moment doesn't go to waste, because it was a very frustrating moment, and I do feel like sometimes it is necessary to transmute. You know what I mean? I feel like somebody wants me to like explain what happened. I don't feel like revisiting the situation. I already talked about it with my boyfriend. I don't care about revisiting it, but it was very frustrating. I was asking for like a refund by the end of it, and I don't know, it was just really frustrating. And I think if anything, the reminder from this moment was not to personalize other people's actions. I was on live stream earlier today and I had somebody ask me, like, do they regret betraying me or whatever? And before I pulled anything, I was like, it doesn't matter, because other people do what they do because of who they are, because of how they look at the world, not because of you, not because of, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people like to personalize it and be like, what did I do? And like sometimes, yes, our actions create negative actions in other people. Yes, sure. But when you really sit down and think about it, when you think about your own actions and how you treat people, 9 times out of 10 you do these things because that's what you want to do. It's not because I'm also talking from a healed perspective. I'm also talking from a grounded perspective. So I don't know, this might not resonate for everybody because everybody thinks differently, and depending on where you are in your journey, you probably might disagree with this, so that's okay. But ideally, we should be doing things for others because we want to do them, not because X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? You do things for people because you want to do things, And so, yeah, I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever they chose to do, they did that because something within them made them do that. Even if it was in response to you, that's what they chose to do. Because we always have choices. In any given moment, there's always choices. Even if the choice is doing nothing, that's a choice. I think it's really easy to fall into that trap. And sometimes I still fall into the adjacent trap of like, I did this because they did that. I felt like I had to do that. I don't necessarily blame other people for my actions, but you know what I mean? Sometimes it does get really easy to fall into that, thinking of like, this happened because they did that. And it's like, well, I mean, you could have also took the time to breathe and like choose another choice. It didn't have to end up that way. You know what I mean? Also, by the time that you see this, it'll probably be mid-April. It's currently the end of January. And also, unrelated, but I'm also in an unfamiliar territory. Like, I don't usually walk over in this area, so that could be relevant for somebody. Maybe stepping outside of the comfort zone, doing different things. I don't know. Only take it if it resonates, but I just felt called to say that. So also, I said I didn't want to revisit the situation, but I'm gonna revisit the situation. It seemed like he was like enjoying being able to tell me off or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, that's my interpretation of what was going on, because he had his eyes closed, and it was like this weird sort of trance thing that he was doing low-key. Oh, I have been over here. I don't walk over here, but I have been over here. You know, and that's definitely a thing that I've noticed with people. A lot of people enjoy being able to, like, bring others down to size. And it's so strange because I've never in my life, as far as I can remember, I've never thought or had the desire to, like, make someone smaller. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's such a weird thing to want to do. You know what I mean? And for the sake of, like, healing, for the sake of, like, giving people the opportunity to grow and improve, you know, I'm not being judgmental when I say that. It just is what it is. Like, there are people who think that way, and I think it is also really disgusting to think that way. You know, like, he can grow and improve, he can evolve, he can change, but that's something he has to want to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he has to want to get better. He has to feel bad for his actions. You know what I mean? And I don't know, there's a lot of people in this world who will do just about anything to justify their shitty behaviors. You know what I mean? Like, they will rewrite history, they will lie to themselves, they will do anything. Also, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm sorry, that was gross. I was thinking about this the other day. The idea of people lying about history, because there's so many things about history that, like, are skewed that we don't actually know all the details to, because some bitch ass wanted to lie and preserve their ego. And I was thinking about that, and I think that's terrible. You know what I mean? I think that's such a selfish thing to do, to lie about important events so that you look better. Like, oh my God, get over yourself. But I digress. People will do this, and people will feel so justified in doing this because it makes them feel less like a crazy person, you know? And it's so dangerous dealing with these sorts of people, because they will gaslight you to no fucking end. They will make you feel like you're crazy so that you can't question them and their motives. And it's ridiculous. And I don't know, a lot of times I find myself being attracted to people like this, and it pisses me off because, like, why am I gravitating towards you? Like, you lie, you cheat, you steal. Like, why do I like you? You know what I mean? And we could talk about that in a different video, maybe. I don't know. We could talk about the idea of, like, opposites attract, and, like, broken people being attracted to or attracting unbroken people. And I don't know, we could talk about that, but I don't know. And one way that I had it explained to me that makes so much sense is that it's not always just a breakdown in differences. Sometimes it's just their nervous system cannot handle what you have to offer. And when I say you, I mean you as, like, a person of truth, a person of integrity, a person of, you know what I mean, of high value. You know what I mean? Like, there are people in the world who, as much as they might want to, they're nervous. They're not at that level to be able to handle that. You know what I mean? And so this is often why people, like, oh my goodness, that's a moment. This is often why people, like, run away, why people sabotage, you know, because it's like, I would like to be with you, I would like to connect with you, but also you make my fucking skin crawl. And that's just the fucking honest truth. You know what I mean? And so, something to be aware of, something to be mindful of when trying to connect with other people. I'm sorry, there was, like, a lot going on in that moment. The wind is starting to pick up, so hopefully that's not an issue. You know? There's this one guy that I run into, and he asked me for money here and there. I usually don't have cash. I usually don't have anything that I feel like I could give. But I was able to give him something this morning after the whole cashier debacle, because I asked for a refund. He gave me a refund in cash, so I had cash, and so I gave him that. And, like, I'm not gonna say it made me the happiest person in the world, but it definitely, I don't know, it did something to my self-esteem a tiny bit to be able to do that, you know. And I don't know, as the wind picks up, hopefully the wind is not a huge issue, but, like, I do believe that, like, for a lot of people, the emptiness that we feel, the dread that we feel, is partially because we don't, how do I say this without sounding pompous, because a lot of us are living for ourselves, a lot of us are living for the moment, you know what I mean? And I definitely feel like when you take more time for service to others, I think you do find a little bit more happiness, a little more peace in your life. You know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe everybody won't resonate with this. I don't know. But I've definitely found in my life, like, helping others is, you know, is groovy. You know what I mean? When you can, obviously. I'm not talking about being a fucking martyr. I'm not talking about self-sacrifice. I'm talking about when you are able to, when you have overflow. You know what I mean? Because the thing about life is, like, we don't live in a vacuum. You know what I mean? A lot of people like to, even myself, I like to think of myself as like a lone wolf. But we don't exist in a vacuum. Nothing happens in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like, if you've ever received anything, it's because somebody else gave it to you. Even if you earned it, nobody exists in a vacuum. So, you know, like if you have a job, it's because somebody believed in you, somebody gave you a chance, and somebody trusted you enough to continue giving you that chance. You know what I mean? And so I do think that it's important to give back when you're able to. Emphasis on when you're fucking able to. I don't want anybody in my comments being like, well, no. If you're able to, don't fucking give when you don't have it. Like, duh. Excuse me for the burp. I feel like I've been dragging this on, so I'm gonna end this here. I'm gonna say thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. I hope the wind is not annoying in this video. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.